Once you grow capital, you don't spend that capital. You reinvest that capital into buying and holding real estate or holding assets
Yes.
that are going to produce passive income. I used to say that I was poor, but somebody one day taught me, there's a difference between being poor and being
Oh,
broke.
yeah.
You know, and when you're broke, you have the ability to get out of the situation. Poor is being mentally poor. The reason why they're cheerleaders is because they feel that they would never have what you have.
Hey guys, welcome to the Driven Not Given podcast. I'm sitting here with my friend Eloy, who I met over a decade ago, and he's got a tremendous story about how he went from what he was doing then, which we're going to get into, to now being one of the most recognized real estate brokers in LA and Orange County in Southern California. Like, everybody knows this guy. He's opening up his second office, Remax Innovative. So he's got a tremendous story. So we're going to dive right into that. So with that being said, what's up, Eloy? How you doing, bro?
Doing wonderful, bro. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. And actually, I don't know if you remember, but we met back in '07.
I think so, yeah.
That was the first time that you and I actually.
Was it with that money merge account thing, the pay off the mortgage faster?
Yeah,
That's
that
right.
That was the one. I don't know if you will remember the alarm company.
Yeah.
Skyline.
Skyline.
Yeah, they're in that building now.
I remember.
Where you invited me to one of those.
Yep.
Little seminars.
That's right.
And that's how we got connected. The first time.
I remember that we met there, and I was just thinking of that. That's where Skyline is now. They were not there then, but that's where they are right now. And at the time, weren't you doing like? Were you still doing Primerica, or had you left, or am I getting that right?
I was already in real estate, so that was the first my first year in real estate. That's pretty much when you and I connected.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Before we get into the real estate side, bro, I'd like to take just a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Tell me your background. Where were you born, right? And tell me a little bit about your background growing up. And
so I'm originally from Mexico City. So I was born and raised in Mexico City, and I decided to make the pretty much like they said, a leap of faith.
Yeah.
My dad left home when I was 4, and so he decided to come into the U.S. So I grew up with my mom, but at one point, I was like, I think I want to look and seek for a better opportunity. We come from a very poor family,
right,
and we didn't have much. And it was difficult for my mom, especially after my dad left.
Could imagine.
She was pretty much a single mom, and it was actually 5 of us.
Wow.
I'm the youngest one in the family, and obviously, school was never my thing. It wasn't something that I was super smart kid, or like someone that had the best grades at school, or I was gonna be a gifted kid or something like that, right? Which my sister was. She's actually a doctor now.
Oh, nice.
Very smart. She always had like the best grades and everything at school. So she was destined to be someone with a good career.
Got it.
It wasn't something that it was within my future. So my mom, obviously her investment was going to be my sister rather than me.
Right.
And so when I turned 16, I made the decision to come and live with my dad, and come into the U.S. Obviously, I wasn't documented at the time, so I had to make the decision to call my dad and arrange for a coyote.
Yeah.
To bring me into the U.S.
How was your dad when you called him? Was he receptive to it?
He was excited.
Oh,
he
good.
was excited, but at the same time, I think he was nervous. Because he didn't know what was going to happen, and obviously I was still a minor. I was 16.
Yeah.
And I remember, when I flew from Mexico City to Tijuana, he went to pick me up, and and I remember we were at the hotel, and he was questioning me, and he said, "Look, do you think you really want to do this? Do you really want to, take the step and take the chance to see if you know, because you're basically taking a chance. You know,
Yeah.
you don't know if you're gonna make it to the U.S. And so we contacted the first coyote I remember, and it was this couple. It was a white lady and a Latino,
Mm-hmm.
and they were gonna cross me over. This were the coyotes, and so when we tried the first time right at the border, they pretty much started questioning us, and they took me in,
Wow.
and then my dad had to go and pick me up, and then I tried a second time, and this time they were gonna they were hiding me on the bottom of a van.
Yeah.
They had like this special compartments
Wow.
where they hide me and another kid, and when we were crossing the border, they had like these dogs smelling the truck, the van and everything, and so they found us.
They found you
they
again.
found me again, so that was the second time.
Oh shit.
And so I remember, my dad went to pick me up once again. We go back to the hotel, and I remember, I still, I still can remember his face, and he was actually crying. He was crying, and he said, "Look, why don't you take the money that I'm gonna be paying to the coyote? Take the money, take it with you, and go back to Mexico City." And maybe try to do something with the money, maybe open a business, start something new, and maybe I don't know, see what you can do with the money.
Yeah.
And so I told my dad, I go, no, I don't want to go back. I go, I already make the decision that I want to go to the U.S. and I'm going to try. Let's give it one more try.
Wow.
Let's try the third time, and como dicen en México, la tercera es la vencida.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah. So I went for it.
Mm-hmm.
I went for it, and so this time, we're not going to go through the line anymore. We're actually going to go
Around.
Around, por el cerro.
The hard way.
The hard way, yeah.
How long was that trip?
So, so check this out, right? So we contacted the coyotes, and and I guess first of all, what they got to do is they got to gather enough people,
Yeah.
so they can make the trip.
Right.
So we contacted this guy. I stayed at his house for 2 weeks until they gather everybody.
Wow.
They gather enough people, and so my dad used to call me almost every day. How you doing and everything, and then he would talk to the coyote. When are you guys gonna make the jump and everything? And so the date finally came, and so we were going through Tecate, and it's
Yeah.
like it's really dark at night, and so we go through the night. We stay there. We slept on the dirt and everything, and then we were gonna start crossing right around 5 in the morning, and I remember that they gave us a gallon of water. So we got the gallon of water. Each and every one got the gallon of water, and then they distributed everybody. And if I could remember, I think it was 5 different groups. And so I went in the group with me and 5 other kids around the same age,
Yes.
between 14 and 17. And so we go with this with this coyote, which we didn't know at the time that it was his first time being a coyote.
Oh wow.
And so we're getting ready, we're trying, we're going over, crossing the border and everything. And so they made, they said, okay, we're going to meet at whatever designated point, which we thought the coyote knew where we were supposed to go.
Right.
Right. And then after, already, going from like, 5 in the morning to like around maybe 1 or 2 p.m., finally the coyote, turns around and he says, you know what, this is my first time being a coyote, and I got something to tell you. I'm lost.
Oh shit.
And so
Phew.
I look at the guy and I go, bro, you know what, this is my my third time, and it's supposed to be my last time.
Damn.
I go, if I don't make it this time, I already promised my dad that I'm going back to Mexico City.
Wow.
And I said, you know what? He goes like, well, whatever you guys decide to do, he goes, I'm going back.
He said
He
that.
said that, yeah. So he goes, I'm going back, and if you guys want to continue, you guys are pretty much on your own.
Wow.
And so I look at the other guys, and I said, you know what? I'm going to keep on going. I go, I don't know what you guys, want to do. If you want to go back with this guy, you guys can go back with this guy, or you can follow me. And I'm just going to go as far as I could go. I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going. I go, but if you guys want to
And this is
follow
like
me,
in the.
this is like in the middle of, like the other side of Tecate.
Is that like
Already-
mountains
we're
or
already in
desert
the,
or?
yeah, it's like, kind of, like desert type.
Wow.
We're already in the U.S. already.
Oh.
Going into what we wanted to do is we wanted to get to the highway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was mainly the
Shit.
the main point, right? And so they're like, okay, we're with you. Let's go.
Wow.
And so we kept on going, but by around this time we don't even have water anymore.
Right. Right.
We already we're done with the water that we had, the gallon of water. Everybody
Gone.
finished it. It's gone. Now we're drinking water from the little charquitos that we could
Right.
find, and so we kept on going. And
So you're drinking water from the puddles, right? The random puddles. Man.
random puddles and everything, just to get, some water, because it's the desert. And,
Mhm.
it's a little.
Yeah.
We were already tired.
Yeah, of course.
We were tired already, and so we kept on going for another 45 minutes, and then we see that the coyote's coming. He's running right behind us, and he says, "Hey guys, you know what?" He goes, I couldn't let you guys technically die on your own.
Yeah,
'cause, we didn't know where we were going, and he says, I'm gonna keep on going with you guys. Let's keep on moving forward, and hopefully we can get to the highway. And he says, if we get to the highway, we might find one of the trucks that is going to take you back to where you guys are going, which is technically L.A.
Wow.
And I guess by the grace of God, we got to the highway. And right around the time that we started walking on the highway, we see a black truck, with tinted windows and everything, like a Suburban.
Yeah.
I remember that it was a Suburban truck. And so they turn around and they stop, and they're like, hey, were you guys the group of people that were lost? And he goes like, yeah, this is the group of people who were lost. And so they put us in the trunk.
Shit.
And that's my story on how
Wow.
I made it to the U.S.
Wow, you have guts, and you at 16 years old, you first of all, you told your dad, I'm not gonna go back.
Yeah.
You had a resolve to come. Then this guy basically tells you, you guys are gonna go down your own. We're lost, and you said, hey man, I didn't come this far to only come this far, and you kept going. Man, that's amazing, bro.
So see that I think that event in my life created everything that I've been able to accomplish
Right.
in my life.
Makes sense.
Because by me not having the ability to quit right at that point, it gave me the mental strength to every time that I come close to anything in life where
it's tough.
where it's tough, and and it starts getting tougher and tougher. To me, it's like I know that if I go through this and I give it another push and continue pushing, eventually I'm gonna have a breakthrough, and I'm gonna break right through this challenge,
Right.
and I'm gonna make it happen.
That's so inspiring, man. Yes, there are things in your life that shape you, and that's one of the things that you hang on to. Right there, it wasn't failure was death right there, because millions of people, bro, die in that desert, man.
Yeah.
Millions of people. And most people, bro, they're going to say, fuck that, let's go back. Let's try another day, or let's give up. And you said go. Now, I think a lot of those people decided to keep going because you owned up and you said, I'll be the leader. If you guys want to follow me, your certainty gave other people certainty.
Right.
That's how it is in leadership. You imagine, like, you run a big real estate office, which we're going to get into, very successful real estate office. I've seen you, bro, from when we're 2007.
Yeah.
I seen you go from just being a new guy to like an empire that you've built, which I'm excited to talk about. But the point is that you don't build something like that, bro, without having strong belief and work ethic and stuff. And I didn't know this part about your story, bro. That's amazing, man. Congrats, bro.
So I want to say that's where everything started. That was like the first, the beginning of my career, I think, and for, for the people that are watching here right now, I think the events that happen in your life happen for a reason.
Right.
There's a lot of people that tell me, Eloy, why do you think that people go through different challenges in life? And I truly believe that the reason why you're going to have challenges that you're going to have to face, it's because if you go through those challenges, they're going to build you up. They're going to build you up. You're going to build up the strength. You're going to build up the power that you need
Right.
to continue moving forward in life and to continue being able to acquire the things that you need to acquire. So every time that you go through a challenge, it's like you're acquiring new skills.
Right.
And you're building up new skills. And those new skills that you're gaining are going to take you to the next level.
Right.
And then, you're going to go through a different challenge.
Mm-hmm.
If you go through that, it's going to build you up and then you're going to go to a next level.
Yes.
And that's the way that life is,
Yep.
it's going to continue happening. And every single time there's going to be new things, new challenges that are going to appear right in front of you. But it's going to be up to you if you decide to either go back, stay there, or continue pushing, forward.
As they say, every level has a new devil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a saying that goes like that, and it's true. You're gonna fail your way to the top. You're gonna fail because along the way to where you're at right now, you just built your over $1 million home. The other day I ran into it by accident. I was jogging and stuff, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is Eloy's home because I saw it on social media. And then I saw you in the back. You guys were still working on it. But the point is, on the way to build that empire.
I just got an offer on the house, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, they offered.
How was the
me,
offer?
2.9.
What?
Yeah, 2.9.
What'd you pay for, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it was more than anything. I paid $785 for the house.
Yeah.
But my wife, it was supposed to be a remodel.
Right.
She knocked the whole thing down, and then we ended up putting a little over $1 million, to build out the brand new home.
Yes.
And adding everything that we wanted. I think we went in about $1 million too.
So you're in 1.9.
So altogether is 1.9.
And you got offered 2.8.
2.9.
Wow. And how much? And how much time?
It was a process, and I think from beginning to end, it took about 3 years.
Still, bro.
Yeah.
Shit. That's amazing, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in other words, you're saying that you guys were supposed to spend a certain amount of money, but then when your wife got involved, you guys spent more money than you anticipated.
Well, the initial budget was supposed to be $350,000
Wow.
because it was supposed to be a remodel.
Yeah, sure.
Right, but then it went up to 500, and then from 500 it took more and more, and then we
I
ended
get
up
it.
spending about $1 million too.
Wow. Well, the reason why I mention that is because that's how my wife is. If she gets involved in something, man, we're going to spend more money on it. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I asked. But that's cool. So let me ask you this. You got to the U.S. What was your first job? What did you start doing when you got to the U.S.?
Well, remember, I was 16 when I got into the U.S., and so I started going to high school. So the first thing that I would do, I wanted to learn the language, which
Yes.
it took me a little bit. Still kind of like not very good at my English is not the best. But for 2 years I went to high school, and then in the afternoon I would go to the adult school, which I liked that I was already 18.
Yeah.
So I can go to high school to the adult school.
Right.
And so I would go to high school in the morning and then to adult school in the afternoon
Right.
to learn English for 2 years.
Wow.
When I turned 18, started working for the Olive Garden as a busboy.
Okay. For the Olive Garden?
For the Olive Garden, yeah.
Nice.
The one in Downey. I don't know if you know.
Wow,
I'm
yes.
pretty sure you've been to that one, right? So that was my first job. My brother used to work there. He was a cook, and he's the one that got me the job. So, obviously, majority of the time, you go into doing the same thing that your family is doing.
Yes.
Because that's all you know.
True.
And so my brother got me the job, and I started working as a busboy.
Wow.
So that was technically my first job.
At around 18?
I was 18, yeah. Right
How-
after I got out of high school.
When did you get into entrepreneurship?
So, right around that time, my wife, Monica, we're being together since we were in high school. So right around the time I started working for the Olive Garden, she also was looking for a job. Right? And I said, why don't you go into the Olive Garden? The servers make good money. And I think, you should apply too. So she went and applied at the one in Downey, and then she got hired at the one in Cerritos. So she started working at the one in Cerritos. And that's where she met Rodell. So Rodell was the owner of the office of the Primerica office in Artesia.
Right.
And so they went to the Cerritos because this one guy, he got he won a contest. And so the contest was that if you were to win the contest, they were going to take you to the Olive Garden. And so my wife, my girlfriend at the time, was a server.
Got it.
And so Rodell offered her the opportunity to come. They used to call it an opportunity night.
Yes.
Like for you that you're being in network marketing
right.
for a while. And then I remember that it was a Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And
usually those are Tuesdays or Thursdays at 7 p.m. Yep.
And so I remember, it was she worked that day, and then right after, when she got out of her shift, because she used to work in the morning, right, the morning shift. So she got out around 2 p.m. and then she calls me. She's like, Eloy, you know what? I met this. They seemed like a very successful couple. They were dressed very well. They were in a suit. It seems like they do financial services, and and they offer me an opportunity. And she goes, and I'm going tonight. And so we drove to the opportunity night.
Right.
And I said, okay, so I'll drive you. I'll leave you there. You can go into the interview, which I thought it was an interview.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you go into the interview, and then I'm gonna go to the gym, and then I'll come back and pick you up. So I was dressed up with my gym clothes.
Yeah.
And so we get to the location, and Rodell is there, and so he tells Monica, hey, who's that guy? He's like, he's my boyfriend. And so he goes, hey, tell him to come. And I go, yeah, but I'm in sweat, in pants. And he goes, well, where do you live? And at that time I live like maybe 3 blocks down from the location.
Yeah.
So I run to the house. I dressed up. I put on like a suit, the only suit that I had at the time, which it was my prom suit. So I went back and
that was me. My first network marketing meeting. I wore my prom suit too. Yeah.
So I wear my prom suit. I go to the app night. And the opportunity night, and everything they said at that point, it made a lot of sense. And I think what made a lot of sense for me at that point was that, they offered us an opportunity to work hard for a period of 7 to 10 years, build a system, and then leave off that system, which is creating a system and leaving off the residual income. Right. And so ever since I was 19 and I went to the first opportunity night, I got sold into that idea.
Got it.
And it wasn't through Primerica that I, was able to live the dream and, live the life that I wanted to live. Right. But it was through Primerica that I bought the dream.
That planted the seed.
Yeah. And so we signed up that same night. We filled out the IBA, and we joined Primerica.
How long did you last with Primerica?
4 years.
So Primerica has incredible training. So you got a very strong base. That's one of the best trainings you're going to get anywhere for entrepreneurship. You got a strong base there. And here's one thing I tell people, like, for example, Jose Perez, our friend Tapatillo, he got to start in network marketing as well, right? So there's a lot of people, myself included, right, that got their start there, and then they went out into other businesses and started to crush it. Because now you had a tremendous combination. You had the Primerica, but even more important than that, you had that grit from you lived in real poverty in Mexico.
Right.
You came over here, and then your story of crossing over, you didn't come over here to just be over here. You didn't come over here to be average. You came over here for the American dream. And that's one thing I see, that a lot of people that are born here, they don't have the grit that you've got, bro. They don't have the grit that I have. Like, they'll fail and they'll easily say, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm going to just, give up on my dreams. Was giving up on your dreams ever an option for you? Once you learn what's possible, was giving up on, because I'm sure you had a lot of failures. Did you ever consider, you know what, man, I'm going to just go live an average life and I'm giving up on my dreams.
You know, here's the thing. You know, I never had the need of somebody, you know, to tell me in the morning, hey, you got to wake up and you got to get motivated.
Right.
And I think that comes, you know, as part of it, because there's a lot of people here in the U.S. that they don't know what they think, you know, we're poor. But they don't really know, they don't understand what poverty really is.
Right.
And so when you haven't been poor, you know, and you don't understand what poverty is, you think you're poor, but you have it all.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when you have enough, you're comfortable.
Right.
See, having enough it's a problem.
Right.
And I think for me, you know, what has helped me and what continues to help me is that I wake up every single day broke.
Okay.
You know, I used to say that I was poor, but somebody one day taught me, you know, there's a difference between being poor and being broke.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're broke, you know, you have the ability to get out of the situation. Poor is being mentally poor.
That's right.
Broke is just a situation where, you know, temporary situation that you're in. And so every day when I wake up, I'm like, you know, I tell you one thing, I don't even look at my bank accounts. I don't know how much money I have.
Right.
I don't know what I have. I don't even manage my accounts. My wife and my accountant, they take care of that. To me, it's like every day I'm going to go out and I'm going to grind
produce.
And it's going to be about what I can produce, the people that I can impact, the lives that I can impact, and then the people that I can train and take at the same level that I'm currently at.
That's awesome.
That's mainly what I focus on.
My dog. Yeah. I love that. You know, I teach my guys, we in the solar business, we get paid we get paid M1 and M2. M1 is like $1,000 or $2,000 upfront commission on the sale, and M2 is the big commission at the end of the install. I teach my guys, you should live off M1s. Your M2's a bigger money.
Yeah.
You should be able to live more than enough well on M1s, and don't focus, because we build teams and leverage and all that shit. I say, put your head down for the next 5 to 10 years. Live on M1s. The M2s should be your extra money that you put away, that you invest and whatnot. And M1s, and then your passive income, and you just keep doing that. And it seems like that's what you do. Every day you wake up like you're broke. Like, I got to produce, right? And I love that, man. And that is, for anybody that's watching this, that is such a key advice that this dude gave you. If you know who this guy is, and you're going to get to know as we go on, what this dude has built over the last over a decade, a little bit over a decade, so it's not even that long, is impressive. I've seen it from when he barely got started in real estate to what he's built now. It's amazing, man. You guys got to follow him on social media. We're going to put the social media handles here. So tell me about how you got into the real estate business. You were in Primerica for a couple of years. Did you get into real estate right after Primerica, or how was it?
Yeah. So I'm working in Primerica for almost 4 years, right? And so I've been with my girlfriend at the time, who is my wife now,
Sure.
Monica. You know, we're being together for 6 years now, almost 6 years, right? And so she finally comes and gives me an ultimatum, and she says, you know what? If you don't ask me to marry you, she goes, this is over.
Oh, snap.
And so I was doing okay. I was already in Primerica. You know, I'm building a business, you know, building myself, building my mindset. We're okay at the time, but, you know, in reality, it wasn't a lot of money. You know, it was the two of us. We're making about $70,000-$80,000, which, you know, at the time, you know, for someone that is in your early 20s,
Right.
Back then it seems like a lot of money.
Correct.
Right? But in reality, it's not enough.
No.
And so we're kind of just getting by. And she says, I want you to ask me to marry me, or this is over, for $2,500. And pretty much I'm going to spend it all on the ring. And so I went, and so I come back and I tell her, look, you know, we're going to get married in 6 months. So now remember one thing, you know, I got no money. My last $2,500 that I had,
Right.
I spent that money in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And so here I make the promise to my wife that we're getting married in 6 months with no savings,
Damn.
no money, right? So she takes on the dream and she believes it. And she's like, okay, we're getting married. I'm looking for the location.
Damn.
I'm telling everyone in Mexico. I'm inviting my friends. I'm inviting my family. And then she starts telling them that she's even going to pay for some of the family members
Oh shit.
to come into the U.S., right? And so,
Now, if she did that today, it'd be no problem. But back then, it was a big problem.
yeah. And so she got committed with everybody, right?
Damn.
She finds the place. She gives the commitment to the place. And we got no money, no savings.
Wow.
And so one of my friends, her name is Lulu Bang, who she now works.
I know Lulu.
For one of my companies, one of my offices. She actually has her own office in Norwalk, one of the satellite offices that we have. And she tells me, Eloy, why don't you get into real estate? She goes, you're doing really good. You've been in Primerica for quite some time. If you were to come into real estate, you're gonna make very, very good money. And so I don't know if you remember, but back then, to do loans, you didn't need a license. So you could do loans and you could do real estate.
Yeah.
Right? For the real estate,
Right.
you needed the license. But she says, you know what? Send me some of the families that you go and visit that want to refinance. She goes, send them to me, and I'll cut you some of the money. And so I gave her the first client, and she comes back and she gives me $7,000.
Damn.
And so I go, wow, $7,000. And I look at it, okay. I go, thank you, Lulu, right? And then I gave her another client. She gives me another $7,000.
Wow.
And then I gave her the third client, right? And she gives me another, $6,500 or something like that. But then I'm now thinking, she's not the most generous person.
Oh no. Right?
Right? And so if she's giving me $6,000-$7,000, how much is she making?
Right.
How much money is she keeping?
Right, exactly.
Right? And so back then, people were making, very high commissions, anywhere between from $25,000, $30,000 per transaction.
Shh.
Per deal.
Yeah.
So now I got interested into real estate.
Right.
And so I go back and I talk to my wife and I tell her, look, we got 6 months before the wedding. We got to jump into this. And so we jumped into real estate, and I remember that, I got into it. And so the first commission that we got, I had just finished paying off my car, a Toyota Camry that I had back then during that time. And I crashed into the freeway. I almost totaled the car.
Damn.
And that was the only car we had. So the first commission check that we got from real estate went to pay for, fixing the car.
Right.
And it was supposed to go to the savings for paying for the wedding. But anyway, so that was another challenge that we faced. We continue going, and luckily my wife and I were always being very hardworking people. And I remember, during that time, during those days, I used to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, work from 7 to 10 p.m. My strategy, in when I came into the business, we had not much money. So the only investment that I could make, I invested into business cars.
Right.
I read in a book, that, this guy developed his business from passing out business cards. And I said, so I'm going to, follow the same strategy. So I would pick up 100 business cards a day, and I would leave the house around 7 in the morning, and I would not come back to the house until I had passed
100 business cards.
100 business cards.
Every day. How many days a week?
7 days a week for the first 2 years in my business.
Wow.
In real estate.
Hold on. You're telling me that 7 days a week, you passed out 100 business cards a day?
Business cards daily.
Did you work that many hours 7 days a week?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's intense. I thought I worked hard as hell back then.
If it was 10 or 11 p.m. and I had not finished passing out my business cards, I would go to Walmart, because Walmart used to close at around 11:30, 12 p.m., especially during Christmas time.
Right.
They close late.
Right.
That was before COVID, right?
Yeah. Right.
So So yeah, so I would pass 100 business cards, and we made it happen. You know, within 6 months, we were able to pay for the whole wedding. We paid for the whole entire
Wow.
wedding. We, you know, our family came over from Mexico to the wedding. Uh, we didn't ask anybody for any contributions or anything like that. Within the first 6 months in real estate, I took home about $156,000.
Your first 6 months
My
in the
first
business.
6 months in the business. And this is in '07, right before the crash.
Bro, that's nuts, man.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man. See, that right there, which was a question I was going to ask you. If somebody's a new real estate agent, alarm sales guy, solar guy, right? Everybody has, at the end of the day, prospecting is a key. So my question to you was going to be later, which I'll ask you now. What do you tell, let's say, for example, you got a 20-year-old guy, 25, 30-year-old guy or girl, says, hey, man, I'm new to real estate. I don't have a lot of contacts. I don't have a lot of credibility, and I don't have much money for marketing. What do I do? What advice would you give that person?
Well, nowadays you have social media,
Yeah.
which if you really think about it, you know, before when we started in business, if you wanted to have a commercial being done on TV, you needed to have a ton of fucking money.
That's right.
Like it would cost you an arm and a leg almost to get on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guess what? Now you can do it for free.
That's right.
You have your phone. Almost everybody has a phone, right? Every phone has a camera.
Yep.
And you can go on TikTok now. You have TikTok, you have Facebook, you have Instagram. I would be, you know, putting myself in front of people
Yes.
on a consistent basis, which is what I did.
Right.
See, my whole intention when I was going out there passing out my business cards was to be in front of people that could potentially buy a home.
Right.
And so I had a target. I was looking for people that were within 25 and 35, married, or that you know had a partner, you know, with kids, right, and that you know could potentially had a job, because I didn't know until I was asking them if they had a job. But it was mainly, you know, that was my target, looking for people that were, you know, within that range. And those were the people that I was giving them my business card.
Now, did you also do door knocking?
So one of the things, and this is probably, you know, something that it's gonna be crazy for a lot of people. I never done door knocking or cold calling in my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is surprising.
And the reason why is because when I got into the business, I was trained to focus on the hot market and the warm market.
Right.
And so I've always, you know, kind of like, you know, created
Yeah, your Primerica
that.
training.
Mm-hmm.
So you started contacting past clients, a bunch of people that you knew, and one way or another, you got 100 business cards out.
Well, no, I would go out on the street.
Yeah.
I would go out on the street because, you know, like everyone that I knew already, I didn't know enough people. You got to remember, you know, I came from Mexico at 16.
Right.
By the time that I was in my 20s, I haven't met that many people. So
True.
my sphere of influence wasn't that big.
Correct.
So I needed to go out and create a bigger sphere of influence. And so that's one of the things. If you want to ask me for the advice that I get people that I would give somebody is focus on increasing your sphere of influence. And I think now if you truly understand what's happening with, you know, the Instagram, the TikTok, and the Facebook, and the reason why people are becoming influencers is because they're becoming very good at growing their sphere of influence.
Right. That's true.
It really depends on how influential you become with people, and that's how you get the business.
Right.
And so now you have the technology that gives you the ability to do that. Back then, we didn't have any of that. So what I had to do is I had to go out and look for people face to face on a daily basis until I grew that sphere of influence.
Right. And see, there's more tools now. Yeah. It's easier now. But even what you did then would still work right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, passing out business cards. Everywhere you go, everybody you meet, pass out your business card.
But see, think about this. You know, I've been in business now for 16 years. I tell everyone what I did. And I haven't met anybody that would take me up on a challenge and do 100 business cards
a day.
Daily.
Wow. It's just law of averages. There's no way you're going to give 100 business cards. And then especially if you carry yourself well, you're a professional, you're confident, which, by the way, you can learn how to be all of those things, right? Somebody, I was listening to Brad Lee. I listen to him all the time. he has a funny. He's by the way, I recommend his podcast. It's a very good podcast. He says if you go out and you offer 1,000 guys a kick in the balls, who wants that, right? A kick in the balls. But if you ask enough men if you want a kick in the balls, somebody's bound to say yes. As weird as that may sound, somebody's about to say yes. If you pass out 100 business cards a day for real estate, solar, alarms, whatever, somebody's about to be interested. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that that's not gonna happen. And so, that makes sense. You're talking about 700 contacts per week. How are you not gonna get somebody interested?
Yeah.
Of course. And then nowadays, let's say I talk to Jay and we strike up a good conversation. He's a nice guy, and we seem to get along. Hey, by the way, Jay, are you on social media? Yes, I am. Hey, what's your handle? How do I find you on social media? Now, what you couldn't do back then, now he's got my card, and if he's cool, I'm gonna get his number. But and if I don't want to get his number, people are more happy to give you their social media than they are their phone number. So I'm gonna add him. So now, let's say we follow each other on Instagram or Facebook. He could constantly see my posting, right? Like at an open house, right? Or at an installation if you do solar, whatever. But now you're keeping in touch with people that before you couldn't really keep in touch with without keeping in touch with them. He's now seeing your stuff. You're liking his stuff and whatnot. But the point is that it seems like the more tools that there is, social media is a great example. But you know what do people use social media for? To entertain themselves. Instead of to be productive, they use it to entertain themselves. So it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of good in it, but there's also a lot of bad in it,
Right.
That's powerful, man. So you have now Remax Innovative. Yeah. So you got into real estate. What was your first real estate company before we get into that?
So I started working for a small company in Downey, and it was called First Choice.
Okay.
And so I was working there. Then the economy started hitting kind of hard. And I find out that the broker was going to close doors. Mm-hmm. So I switched, within the same year, I switched to another company called Exit. It's around 2008. Right?
Wasn't that like an MLM or something?
It was sort of like an MLM company, kind of like, EXP and KW now. They kind of have like the same model.
Sure, similar.
Similar model. And so I go to that company. So this is in 2008, right? So 2008, I switched to one company right around February. And then around November again, I switched to Century 21. And the reason why I made those switches within the same year was because my first broker was going out of business. Second broker is going out of business.
Damn.
And so I go, where am I going to go next? And so the only big company in the area during that time was Century 21 All Stars with
right.
Joby Escusa.
Yep.
Which, he was very good established. He had money. So I was like, okay, that was pretty much what I was looking for. I wanted to go with a broker where I'm not going to have issues where, my check is like, it's going to bounce, or, I'm not going to be able to collect right. my commission. And so that's when I decided to go into Century 21. But within the same year, I pretty much jumped from one company to another company to another company.
To Century 21.
To Century 21.
And how long did you last there?
I stayed there for 4 years.
And you were you? How'd you do there overall in your career? Were you one of the top guys there?
So 2008 was my first complete year in the business.
That's a tough year.
And so this is when the market crashed. But this is one of the things, and one of the advices that I want to give everybody else. You need to understand one thing. The only competition that you're going to have in business is yourself. If you really focus on becoming a better you, a better version of yourself, you don't care about anybody else.
Right.
No one else. Because here's the thing. Everyone starts at a different time.
Right.
And everyone starts on their own time.
Right.
And so if you're leaving on your own time, you got to continue going without looking sideways.
Yes.
You don't need to care who's on the other side, who's doing better than you, who's doing worse than you. And so I remember, back then when I started in the business, I was doing good without knowing that I was doing very good. And so when I got to All Stars that year, I was already on track to closing 42 transactions. My first year, I was going to sell 42 homes. And so I got into the company and they said, okay, we can pretty much offer you whatever you want. And so I got there already being a top producer without me knowing that I was already a top producer in real estate.
Wow. Because you weren't focused about that. You weren't over there. I bet, what is this guy doing? What is that guy doing? You were in your lane, which is the reason why you were successful.
Yeah.
And you weren't even that long in the industry. You were a few years in the industry.
Well, it was my first year, technically.
Your first full year.
Yeah, my first
And you
full
were
year.
already like a top producer. Any company would have been happy. Like, come on over, man. Roll the red carpet out for you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you didn't even know that because you were just too focused on the fundamentals.
I didn't understand that because I didn't know what I thought. See, here's the impression that I had when I walked into the first bigger office. You know, I noticed people were driving expensive cars. You know,
Right.
I would ask people where they would live. Everybody was living in Downey, you know, Buena Park, Whittier. You know, they lived in the nice areas
Sure.
with big houses.
Right.
Right. Which, you know, majority of them were overextending themselves.
True.
So I thought, you know, in order for these people to have what they have, they got to be making a ton of fucking money.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
got to be making a shitload of money, right? And so
Right.
in my mind, playing my own game, I was already behind the game because I didn't have any of that.
Wow.
I wasn't driving the nice car. I wasn't living in the nice house. I wasn't dressing up like these guys were dressing up. You know, but later on, I learned that it was all a facade
Yep.
that
true.
they had.
It's true.
Right? Because a lot of people believe on, you know, fake it until you make
That's
it.
right.
I wasn't like that. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go to work, you know, and my mindset was a lot different from most people, because you know what I wanted to do is I wanted to develop a system that at one point, if I wanted to leave and retire from real estate, that system was gonna work for me.
Right.
And you know it was going to be, you know, eventually, you know, it was going to retire me. I was going to become financially independent, and I was going to build wealth. And not only that, I was going to generate a passive income that would allow me to stay away from the business if I wanted to.
Awesome. Love it. That's awesome. So Century 21, you were a big dog without even knowing you're a big dog because, and yes, you're right. In business in general, real estate, car sales, any industry, but there are a few industries where it's like they have a big ego.
Yeah.
Then, you know, they get a $10,000 check and then that check is gone a week later. You know what I mean? No money is saved for taxes. And so I'm very, very familiar with that because, you know, I know a lot of people in real estate. I used to be in real estate back around that time as well. I left the industry, though, December 2007 with the crash. But now at 38 years old, I wish I looked at things that way when I was younger, like you. You know, I was a guy that was overspending. You know, I went from being broke to making a lot of money and being broke on a higher level. You know what I mean? There was sometimes I was, you know, that I was doing very well, but the more I made, the more I spent. The more I made, the more I spent. Now, the more I make, I cut expenses down. So I understand what you're saying. So Century 21, how long did you last there?
4 years.
4 years. And is that after that is when you opened up your own?
That's when I opened up my own office. Yeah.
Was it Remax out the gate?
No, I started with Michael Yoki with Excellence.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I worked with Michael Yoki for about a year and a little over a year and a half.
Did you have an Excellence office or you just went to work for
I
Excellence?
had an Excellence office, yeah.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then what made you make the transition to Remax?
So the main, well, first of all, the reason why I made the transition from being an agent to opening my own office was because, you know, I was already tired of doing everything on my own.
Sure.
And so, you know, from coming from Primerica and understanding, you know, the business mindset and you know, the business quadrant and everything, you know, I wasn't going to be the self-employed person that was going to do everything on my own. I needed to move to the next level where I'm going to have a team, and I needed to start thinking more like a business owner.
Yes.
And so I go to my broker and I tell my broker, hey, I want to start having my own team. I want to build, you know, the structure of a team. I want to have my
Like buyer's agents?
transaction coordinator. I want to have buyer's agents. I want to have listing agents. And he's like, no. He goes like, I don't believe on that. He goes, if you're doing good on your own, all you need is yourself and an assistant.
Why the hell? That's weird.
And so that was his narrow mindset, because he just wanted to have one person to produce. And in his mind, if he allows me to build up a team, I'm kind of like coming under him as a mini broker.
Yes.
And I'm technically taking from the brokerage, because these agents that are working under me could be working for him.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
So that was his vision
Wow.
of what I wanted to have.
Got it.
And so I went to one of my coaches and I said, I had this conversation with my broker. I go, what would you do? And he says, leave.
Hell yeah. That's what I would have
Leave,
told you.
leave the business. So I go tell the guy that I'm leaving the business in 6 months because I have one of the leases,
Yes.
one of the offices, and he fires me.
Are you
right
talking
on the
about
spot.
excellence?
No, that was Century 21.
Got it.
So before I moved to Excellence, right? So I tell him, look, I want to find a company. I want to go and open up my own thing and have my own team. He goes, but I tell him I haven't find a company that I'm going to go with, right?
Yeah.
And so he didn't like it, and he fires me right at that moment. He says, if you're going to leave now.
Leave now.
And so I
Interesting decision.
I end up getting my things, leaving the office, and I don't even have a place to go. I don't even have the next company that is going to, give me the opportunity to go and work with them, right? And so I go home and I said, okay, now I really got to make the decision to who I'm going to be going with. Now, I knew that I wanted to have my own franchise. I knew that I want to have my own company. But I also knew that in order for me to make that decision, I needed to put an investment. And it was going to be a large amount of at least $35,000
Got it.
to jump into the franchise, right? And so I started interviewing different brokerages and different brokers. And so finally I met with Michael Yoki, and Michael Yoki says, you know what, I'll give you the ability, the opportunity to have your own office. You don't have to pay for or buy a franchise, right? And you can have your own thing and see if it's something that is going to work out for you. So I tell him, look, I'm going to give it a few years. And if I do find that this is what I want to do and it works for me, I'm going to go into Remax. Because that was my thing. I wanted to have a Remax office.
Got it.
I like the brand, I like the mindset, and I like the technology that they had behind
Yes.
it. And so I tried it with Michael Yoki, and I started seeing the results. And so I went and I told Mike, you know what, I'm going to open up my own office. I want to have my Remax office.
Yeah.
And so went ahead and I opened my own office.
How was Mike when you told him that you wanted to move and get your own franchise?
He was supportive. He was supportive because he knew that I already, it was something that I wanted to, and he also knew that, right from the beginning that I mentioned it to him, I said, I'll support you. I'll support the Excellence brand as much as I can, but ultimately I want to have my own thing. I want to have my own company.
Sure.
And so he was supportive.
That's cool.
He helped me as much as he could. And then I just went and, decided to do my own thing.
What year did you open up Remax?
This is 6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
A
been
lot has
6
happened in
years
6 years, man.
Yeah.
Did you start at the Bellflower office?
Mm-hmm.
Remax Innovative at the Bellflower office. And then recently you're now opening up another office in Whittier.
In Whittier.
Uptown Whittier.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
So I bought, I was in Cerritos with Excellence, and my lease was up. My rent was going to go up to $10,000 for that location that I had if I wanted to stay there. So I was like, it doesn't make sense. So I went out and started looking for a building. I bought the building in Bellflower, which everybody was telling me, don't buy in Bellflower because it's a dead town. During that time, you go around Bellflower and it was like a ghost town.
That's
right?
true.
Like nobody was there. No businesses were opening. It was just completely dead. So I go, well, I'm getting a good deal.
Yeah.
So I bought that office for $465,000.
Wow.
Which it was a very good deal at that time.
Yeah.
I went in, I rehabbed the whole thing, plumbing, electrical, knocked everything down, and I built up the offices and everything, and I went in it. I got an SBA loan, government loan, so my payment was only $2,600 a month.
Wow. Versus 10, your lease was going to go up for 10,000.
Yeah.
That's nuts, bro.
Yeah, that's why I tell everybody, buy real estate.
Yeah.
Don't rent.
Right.
Buy. If you have the ability, buy.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you need to do to buy,
Right.
If you're a business owner, learn what you need to do in order for
Yes.
you to, your next step should be wanting to buy your own location versus renting it.
Right, right.
And so I went out and I bought it, and then I started the office there.
Beautiful office, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a beautiful office. and then now I've been to your office. Matter of fact, I did a training at your office a
Yeah,
couple of years
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
And then now you opened up the Whittier office, which I've only seen videos, but we're definitely going to talk about me renting that space, a training space for events. So you bought that building too.
Which I got with another SBA loan.
Nice. We have to talk about that, man. I need to pick your
Yeah.
brain on that.
So the SBA loan, my payment on that location is 8,500. I bought the building for $1.8 million.
Wow.
So if you think about the amount of money for the
Yeah.
payment that I'm making, it's not a lot.
No.
It's a little over 6,000 square feet.
Shh, man. That's crazy, bro.
And not only that, but they freeze my payment for 3 months because of everything that's going on right now. So
That's awesome.
so it's good. And then you only buy with 10%. 10%
Damn,
down.
that's super good, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna pick your brain on that because, as you know, I'm looking for a bigger office and whatnot. So we're gonna talk about that for sure. So now you got that. How many agents now total under the Remax Innovative banner?
We're building it close to 70 agents now.
Wow! Congratulations.
Thank you.
So your goal is to open up more.
So my main thing is that it took me about 5 years to develop Bellflower, but I already got that was kind of like my training.
Yeah.
Learning how to do it. So open the first one, build it up. So now with Whittier, I've only been open for 3 weeks. I already have 17 agents
Wow.
in there. So I'm pretty sure that it's going to take me maybe a year, maybe 2 years to build it up to where I want to. And then I want to go to another location.
Nice.
And then just continue going to
That's awesome, bro.
to different locations. But it's I think it's different now. And I think what makes it different is this, when you don't have the need of making money, you're not in survival mode.
Yeah, that's right.
Your mode, you're coming from a different place.
Yes.
And I think my place now is gratitude, and I want to give more than what I want to take.
Right.
And so that is the reason why you see everything happening at the level that is happening right now. See,
Right.
the problem with most people is that they live in survival mode, and when you live in survival mode, you want to take.
Yes.
You become a taker more than a giver.
Right.
And when you take, you don't reciprocate. Things don't circulate.
Yes, true.
And so in order for you to allow things to circulate around your life, you need to be in a different motion, in a different mode.
I love it.
You got to be willing to give more than what you're willing to take. Because in order for you to receive, you got to be willing to give.
That's awesome.
And a lot of times the things are not going to come from the people that you're expecting to come from. They're going to come from a different place.
That's awesome.
But it just works, things works that way.
Yeah, man. It's, I shared recently on Instagram, I said, when you give more than you take, you get more than you gave. Right? And so that's in value, that's in your time, that's in money. You got to always be filling up the pipeline because if deals are going to fall through, it's just the nature of the business. But if you're not constantly prospecting, putting deals in the pipeline, prospects, you're going to have commission breath. So now when you're prospecting somebody, there is such a thing called commission breath, meaning you sound a little bit desperate. You sound a little bit too eager. Yeah. And so you might turn off a potential customer because you're not, like right now, you when you recruit people, you're not from a needy place. It's kind of like, look, we're going to offer this value. We're not going to talk bad about another company. If this is good for you, if not, hey, I wish you well, whatever you do. So that'll help your recruiting, right, for the agents. It also helps out with customers. And one of the things that I feel that sales agents in general make is they're not constantly having their pipeline being filled. So when people decide that they don't want to buy anymore, you're not like heartbroken, like, okay, that's fine. I got plenty of people to work with, and you don't have that commission breath, and that's a very big deal. And I think to a certain degree, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody who says, hey, man, I want to build wealth? You know what I mean? How does somebody go out there, the average Joe, average Jane, to go out there and build wealth? What advice would you give that person?
So here's my philosophy with that.
Yes.
Building wealth, I got a philosophy. You got to, if you're a salesperson, which I think, everyone is a salesperson, whether you sell your time, if you're an employee, whether you sell, product, or whether you sell businesses, you're a salesperson. And so the first thing is that you gotta learn to you gotta learn one thing. You gotta sell to survive.
Right.
So you're gonna go out and you're gonna sell, whether it's your time, your energy, your product, your business, and you're gonna do that constantly,
Correct.
right? And if you do it good enough, if you do it good enough and you do it well enough, you're gonna create and you're gonna generate an overage of income.
Right.
That overage of income, I tell everybody, use that money, right? Build a secondary business or invest that money somehow.
Correct.
I tell everyone, if you flip, go into flipping, you put that money into flipping houses. So you invest that money to grow your capital. So you got to find a secondary way to grow capital,
Right.
right? So once you grow capital, you don't spend that capital. You reinvest that capital into buying and holding real estate or holding assets
Yes.
that are going to produce passive income.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is how you get into, okay, now I'm building wealth. Because see, this is the thing, and this is what I want you to understand. There's people in my company that had been with me for 5 or 6 years
Right.
who are not like the top producers who are making, $400,000 or $500,000 a year. But they make good enough money. They survive with very little, and they create an overage of money. With that overage of money, they go and they buy properties.
Assets.
They flip a few properties, and they go. Then later on, they go and buy and hold properties. There's actually a few people now that have been in business with me for 5, 6 years that could retire today if they wanted to and continue living the same lifestyle
That's awesome.
that they're used to living because they learned to build wealth. So see, the problem that we have now with society is this. Everybody wants to pretend
Right.
to have what they don't really have.
That's right. 100%.
And so they go and they spend more than what they actually have. They go and they put things in credit. They go and buy things to impress other people,
Right.
right?
True.
And so now they're trying to keep and maintain this lifestyle that is not truly a lifestyle
Right.
because they cannot even afford it.
Yep.
And so I tell people, leave the lifestyle that you want to live when you're able to afford it.
Correct.
And in order for you to afford the lifestyle that you live has to come from passive income.
Passive.
So when you have the ability to go and pay for a nice car like this one,
Right.
and your passive income pays for it, go buy it.
That's right.
When you can go and buy and you can go and build the house of your dreams, and your passive income is gonna pay for it, buy it. See,
Yeah.
people tell me, Eloy, you've been in business for 16 years. Why did it take you so long to build your dream home? And I said, it took me so long because I'm not paying for it.
That's right.
Someone else is
Beautiful.
paying for
Love it. That's awesome, bro.
What did it take you so long to go and buy a nice car? Because I'm not the one paying for it.
And you know what, though? You could have done it if you had the philosophy of everybody else. You could have done it a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
But you said, no, my passive income has to pay for that $1 million house, has to pay for that $200,000 car. My passive income that's the kind of stuff. And you know what it is, too? Social media. Social media shows people, women with this, the Birkin bag. I don't know how much they cost, but I'm sure they cost a lot of money, right? The expensive Mercedes. But at the end of the month, their bank account is almost hitting zero. They've got no savings, no assets, but they're faking the funk. You know what I mean? That social media lifestyle, people are, say it all the time, they're advertising their highlight reel, but they're not showing really what's behind that. We're going to see in the next 10 years, 20 years, how the things shake out and who really built wealth and who didn't. You know what I mean? Last question is this, man. I know that you got on 75 hard, bro.
Yeah.
What day are you in on 75 hard?
On the 46th day,
How much weight have you lost?
15 pounds.
My man.
Yeah.
I saw the pictures, bro. I thought it was more.
Yeah, I
From
know.
the pictures.
It's 15 pounds. It looks like more probably because I'm getting a little bit more defined,
Right.
and that's kind of what's
That's good, man.
what's
That's
helping. Yeah.
So what is your routine with that, bro? Because you're busy, bro. You're running a few businesses. You've got a family. You work a lot. How are you doing? Working out twice a day, drinking a gallon of water, and all this other stuff.
So I carry my water with me everywhere I go, right? So that's number one. That takes with the
Sure.
water, and then I work out in the morning. So I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, go do my first workout,
Wow.
and then well, obviously I haven't drunk any alcohol for 46 days now, and which that's not the biggest part. reading, which is not the biggest part, but I think the biggest challenge is like being able to do the second exercise.
Yeah.
Because you got to find the time.
That's right.
To do it.
And one of them has to be outdoors.
One of them has to be outdoors. Yeah.
Is your morning workout the outdoors one?
No.
No.
So I go to the gym in the morning, and so at nighttime that's when I go out. And
See, when I did it, I went in the morning. It was just a walk. I went to walk in the morning. That's when I saw you guys building out your house, and I just do the walk. And then later on, the gym is open more consistently, or if it's really cold or something, so that worked out better for me. But at 4:30 in the morning, it's pretty cold out, even in California. So it makes sense, man. That's good, man. Well, congratulations. I got no doubt you're going to finish the 75 hard. And my brother, this was one of my favorite interviews, bro. I found myself getting caught and saying, oh, shit, I got to talk to this guy, because when you're telling your story, I'm like, man, this was amazing, man. Like, I got to tell you, man, the story of you coming to the U.S., I now know more of the reason why the man, Eloy, is where he's at right now, bro. And, man, I thank you for sharing the story. Thank you for taking the time, bro. How can people connect with you on social media, bro?
So, you can just type my name, Eloy Villamil. So it's Eloy Villamil. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, IG. If you want to send me an email, you can send an email to Eloy Villamil, whatever account. If it's, Yahoo, Google, whatever you can think of, I pretty much have all the accounts now.
Smart.
With my first name and last name. So
that's good. That's good.
They all come to me. So
connect with this guy. If you guys want to get into real estate, you're in Southern California. If you guys want to buy real estate, this is a guy. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. So connect with him. If you just want to learn and follow winners, I would highly encourage you to follow Eloy. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you leave a comment. Share this. Who do you know that could get value from this? Let's go ahead and share this. And I appreciate you guys. And Eloy, my man, appreciate you, bro.
Thank you very much for the invitation. And one thing that I wanted to say, just for everybody, is don't focus on what everybody else is doing. Do your own thing.
Right.
Do your own thing. Whatever your dream is, whatever it is that you want to do, go out and fight for it. Go out and do it. Don't listen to anybody. People are always going to have, negative things to say, even at my level now.
Yeah.
There's always people that have negativity. But if you don't listen to the negativity, one of the things that I do is like, whenever someone has something to say that is not what I want to hear, I pretend that I'm not listening, and I just see them, cheering me out.
Right.
And so I tell people, look, haters are, the biggest cheerleaders.
That's right.
And the reason why they're cheerleaders is because they hate, because they feel that they would never have what you have.
It's true.
But they actually want to have it.
Yep.
And so at the end of the day, they're cheering you out.
Yep. And you know what's funny? Haters are the ones that look at your social media more than anybody else, bro.
Yeah. They're your biggest supporters.
They're biggest supporters, man. They're fans that don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and if you have a couple of haters, your goal should be to have 10 times more. Because guess what? A dog doesn't bark at a parked car. You know what I'm saying? If you're not doing shit, nobody's going to hate on you. You got to be doing some shit in order for people to hate on you. If you're just over here, keeping to yourself, not accomplishing anything, you're not going to have anybody hating on you. So I think that's great advice, bro.
Yeah, but anybody wanting to do real estate, connect with me. Like I mentioned it right now, I'm more than anything in a given place. I'm willing to teach others, what they got to do in order for them to become successful. So follow me.
Awesome, man. And as always, guys, this was a tremendous episode. I'll see you guys at the top or from the top. Take care.